Zone coverage, though?
Yeah. But that's typically harder, I think, the zones like, for quarterbacks. I'm going to say they made a bad decision. They should have got Shedeur Sanders. And maybe I was looking at tape, because he's not bad. Jaxson Dart's not a bad quarterback. And you're comparing him to Josh Allen. Makes sense. I want a guy like Josh Allen, too. Like, every team wants that. Until you really watch him, he looks nothing like Josh Allen. Where at? Arm strength? They not in the same class.
No.
And then we keep talking about all this, like, this mobility and scramble and all that. Like, he don't run like Josh Allen.
Giants considering trading up for a quarterback, Jaxson Dart, later in the first round. Bad businesses tend to overcompensate for previous mistakes and reach. So the idea the Giants now think Jaxson Dart is the dude for the future in New York. Let me just ask you this. You ever notice that a lot of the quarterbacks that don't make it, you weren't paying a lot of attention to in college and they suddenly got really hot?
The New York Giants might be having second thoughts. After passing on Shedeur Sanders in the draft and putting their faith in Jaxson Dart, reports from OTA sessions are raising serious concerns. Once hailed as the next Josh Allen, Dart is now being labeled as overhyped. And it's not just the fans saying it. Inside sources suggest the coaching staff is questioning whether they made the right call. So what exactly is going wrong with Jaxson Dart, and did the Giants make a major mistake? Before the draft, there were already rumblings around the league. Reports linked the New York Giants heavily with Jaxson Dart, hinting that he was their preferred pick over the highly touted Shedeur Sanders. Even then, critics and analysts raised eyebrows. Many believed the Giants were taking a huge gamble, choosing potential over proven college production. Some even went as far as calling it a mistake in the making, a decision that could come back to haunt them. And now, just weeks into the offseason program, those early concerns are starting to look alarmingly accurate.
The roster right now is not good enough to keep their jobs for another year. They're going to lose a bunch. And Jaxson Dart is not a tantalizing enough prospect for everyone to want to see it through. So they're not going to say, oh, why don't you stay on and develop these guys? So then you get the worst thing you could possibly get, which is a regime change in the middle of a rookie quarterback's contract when the rookie isn't anointed as the chosen one, and then things get lost. That's why I don't like it from time to time.
NFL Hall of Famer Michael Irvin didn't hold back his thoughts on the situation. Speaking out after the draft, Irvin called the Giants' decision to take Jaxson Dart over Shedeur Sanders just unbelievable. He expressed genuine shock that Sanders wasn't taken in the first round at all, calling it one of the most surprising moments of the draft. According to Irvin, Sanders has all the tools, poise, leadership, and production to be a franchise quarterback, and passing on him was something he simply couldn't explain. His reaction echoed the sentiments of many fans and analysts who felt the Giants missed out on a true game changer.
And the value we put on quarterbacks in this league, that's shocking that Shedeur Sanders did not get drafted last night. That's just, and asking me what was the reason.
Irvin didn't hesitate to shower praise on Shedeur Sanders, calling him the kind of quarterback people have been watching and waiting for throughout his college career. He highlighted Shedeur's pinpoint deep throws and his uncanny ability to scan defenses and deliver the ball right into the hands of his runners, calling it out of this world. For Irvin, it's not just about stats, it's about the complete package Shedeur brings to the field. The fact that a quarterback with that level of talent and vision wasn't picked by the Giants left him stunned. Boomer Esiason also weighed in on the controversy, and his assessment wasn't any more comforting for Giants fans. According to Esiason, Jaxson Dart simply isn't the type of quarterback most NFL teams are looking for. He pointed out that Dart is not ready to start games right away, and expecting him to lead an offense this early could be a tough ride for the Giants. Esiason didn't mince words. He described Dart as a mute sort of QB in the NFL landscape, suggesting a lack of commanding presence. He also questioned Dart's technique, implying that what worked for him in college might not translate to the faster, more complex style of play in the league. LeSean McCoy didn't hold back either, firmly nullifying the Giants' decision to sign Jaxson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. McCoy made it clear he doesn't believe Dart is anywhere near the level expected of a starting NFL quarterback, let alone someone being compared to Josh Allen. In fact, he called those comparisons completely off the mark, saying Dart isn't even close to Allen in terms of skill, presence, or potential. McCoy admitted he was super confused by the pick. In his view, Sanders would have had a much higher ceiling with the Giants and a far better chance at real success.
He looks nothing like Josh Allen. Where at? Arm strength? They not in the same class.
No.
And then we keep talking about all this, like this mobility and scramble and all that. Like, he don't run like Josh Allen. So what are we really talking about here, though? Because if you're taking a guy, right, you trade up to go get a quarterback. Cool, you must want him. And then the reason why you want him is you're saying in comparison to Josh Allen. I'm like, there's no way possible. So I was super confused with this pick. I will say, though, he will have some success being with Brian Daboll. I've been with him at Buffalo. I think he's a really good coach. I just don't know, man, if he will have the same success if he had Shedeur Sanders at quarterback other than Dart.
Prisco also voiced his concerns about the Giants' decision, making it clear he wasn't a fan of Jaxson Dart being taken in the first round. Prisco labeled Dart as a raw quarterback, one who still needs significant development and time to adjust before he can truly contribute at the NFL-level offense. He questioned whether the Giants had the time or infrastructure to support that kind of long-term project. On his grading scale, Prisco went as far as giving the pick a C-, signaling strong skepticism about Dart's immediate value and long-term upside.
Quarterback desperation is a strange phenomenon in the National Football League, and we watched it play out when the New York Giants traded back into the first round to take Jaxson Dart, the quarterback out of Ole Miss. Dart is a raw quarterback who will take some time to translate his skills to the NFL level. The offense is so much different than what he ran at Ole Miss. I do like him, but why not wait until the second round and get a quarterback? Maybe even wait to get him. Why trade back into the first round? I don't like this move by the Giants. I give it a C-.
The legendary Tom Brady weighed in on the situation, adding his voice to the growing support for Shedeur Sanders. Brady admitted he was surprised when the New York Giants passed on Shedeur, saying it didn't make much sense considering the talent and leadership he's shown throughout his college career. He revealed that he personally texted Shedeur after the draft, not just to console him, but to encourage him. Told Shedeur not to see it as a setback, but as fuel to prove everyone wrong. He reminded him that he himself was drafted 199th overall in his year and still went on to have one of the greatest careers in NFL history. His message was simple: where you're drafted doesn't define where you'll end up. Colin Cowherd took a different angle on the Giants' decision, calling the signing of Jaxson Dart an obvious case of overcompensation. According to Cowherd, this move reeks of desperation, a franchise trying too hard to correct the quarterback mistakes they've made in the past. He argued that instead of making a calm, calculated choice, the Giants panicked and reached for a quarterback they hoped would silence criticism. In his view, the pick wasn't about Dart's talent. It was about the Giants trying to cover up years of quarterback controversy with a flashy but unproven solution.
Giants considering trading up for a quarterback, Jaxson Dart, later in the first round. Bad businesses tend to overcompensate for previous mistakes and reach. So the idea the Giants now think Jaxson Dart is the dude for the future in New York. Let me just ask you this. You ever notice that a lot of the quarterbacks that don't make it, you weren't paying a lot of attention to in college and they suddenly got really hot?
The New York Giants' decision to select Jaxson Dart over Shedeur Sanders has sparked widespread debate across the NFL landscape. From former players to respected analysts, the reaction has been overwhelmingly skeptical, if not outright critical. Michael Irvin called the decision unbelievable, praising Shedeur's poise, precision, and overall readiness for the league. LaShawn McCoy echoed that sentiment, labeling Dart as not being on the same level and expressing complete confusion over the Giants' choice. Boomer Esiason questioned Dart's NFL fit entirely, calling him unprepared and lacking the qualities teams look for in a starting quarterback. Pete Prisco didn't hold back either, grading the pick a disappointing C-, citing Dart's rawness and long development curve. Even Tom Brady weighed in, not to criticize, but to support Shedeur Sanders, texting him directly and encouraging him to use this snub as motivation, just as Brady once did when he was picked 199th overall. His message reinforces the idea that true greatness isn't always recognized on draft day. And then there's Colin Cowherd, who may have summed it up best by framing the pick as overcompensation, an emotional, reactive decision made by a franchise trying to erase years of quarterback instability. When you combine all these perspectives, one thing becomes clear: the pressure is now squarely on the shoulders of Jaxson Dart and the Giants front office. Dart has a mountain to climb, not just to prove himself as an NFL caliber quarterback, but to silence the growing chorus of critics. If he fails to deliver, this decision could haunt the Giants for years to come, especially if Shedeur Sanders goes on to thrive elsewhere. The gamble has been made, and now the league is watching to see if the Giants bet on the right guy or if they let a true star slip through their fingers. But what do you think, Giants fans and football fans in general? Did the Giants make a massive mistake by passing on Shedeur Sanders? Do you believe Jaxson Dart has what it takes to silence the critics and lead this franchise forward? Or was this just another desperate reach by a team trying to fix years of quarterback turmoil? Can Dart develop into the next Josh Allen like some hoped, or was that comparison always unrealistic? And most importantly, how long should the Giants wait before admitting if they got this one wrong? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.